Hi, it's Mark from SnowOnly, back with another, let's say, webinar. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to have with me James from Ski Armadillo on his little section down there. It says Armadillo Chalets. We'll get to that point. The reason that I wanted James to come on and speak a little bit was through SnowOnly, we are actually, the ski industry in general is going to quite high price in some very peak areas, the likes of Verbier, Meribel, Val d'Isère, Courchevel, getting some really high-end quality chalets. Now, without knowing my background, I've been around hotels for kind of most of my life and staying in some very prestigious hotels. What obviously is synonymous with the purchase of high-end property is the high-end service that needs to be coupled with it. Anyone that's looking for a property realizes that the big brands, the likes of Aman, LVMH, Ritz-Carlton, they're not that frequent in ski properties. They're more of a rarity. So obviously all the people that are buying properties are anywhere from 2 million up to the recent sale in Meribel at 35 million, are very used to this kind of high-end service. And James can help with that situation. I think there's a lot of options for service from the rental departments of agents around the Alps, but it's going above and beyond for that service. And James has been doing it for a while in Verbier, and we just want to hear a little bit about that service for the people that are coming through SnowOnly and buying high-end property. So James, welcome along. That was probably a bit of a long intro from me, but so be it. Give us a bit of an explanation of kind of how Ski Armadillo started, where you are, and a bit of background.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I appreciate you having me on. So my background has been in the chalet market and hospitality forever, really. I actually started as a chef back in the UK before moving out to Europe when I was around 20 years old to do a ski season. Again, it was a typical story of doing one winter, and which has now turned into 16 years of my life. As you do, yeah, pretty casual. And I was looking for a way to keep me in the mountains, and that's what found me a chalet job, and fell in love with it. Having come back from the chefing world, the chalet was the perfect job for me, really.
Yeah. And
so I've now worked across France, Austria, and now Switzerland, and joined Ski Armadillo 8 years ago. And we've built the business over the last 8 years. Although the business has been going for 24 years, it's really accelerated over the last sort of 6 years, and since COVID, even more so. So Armadillo itself started with two friends in Verbier who, again, loved service, loved skiing, and loved, I suppose, the finer things in life, eating and drinking wherever they could. And they want to provide that service for them and their friends, effectively, and anyone else that shared their passion for hospitality in the mountains and in luxury private homes. I've been on a fair journey over the last 24 years and survived many things, as everyone else has. And most recently, obviously, COVID and Brexit. But we've really tracked along with the market, which you touched on at the beginning in your introduction on how it's gone and how it's rising to the top end, the luxury end of that market.
Yeah.
Ski Armadillo itself are really passionate about hospitality, and that comes with high touch. That comes with local expertise. So all of our team live in our resort. Its availability and it's the quality of the team that delivers the service to those customers. I think one of my favorite quotes is actually from a book called Unreasonable Hospitality, where service is black and white, but hospitality is color. And I really believe that's so true.
Yeah.
And it's only getting stronger in the chalet market. I think we've we tend to lag behind the hotel world. So you mentioned Oman, Six Senses, who really lead that way for community, for hospitality-led service within there. And I think the chalet world is really starting to catch up with that, certainly the last 3 to 4 years. And some of that is driven by the cost has gone up, which means the price has gone up for the customer, and therefore the expectation is higher. And the operator has to match. But I think that's a good thing for the market, and it's a good thing for the customer, really, and a good thing for the owner.
James, I think you're right. I think the thing is, price has gone up as we're so frequently dealing with high-end buyers, let's say 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it be. And then expectation of the buyer is always there because they are used to that. And then delivering that expectation, I'm not too sure that the Alps has ever really kind of got there, you know. So this is obviously where you're going. I just want to go back 1 second. So Ski Armadillo, you provide obviously the service, but you also provide the rentals. So the idea obviously of this conversation today is to give a kind of overview in France, not to get into it too much, but there's obviously a lot of the owners are taking up the 20% VAT rebate, which you can look at other webinars. We're not going to get into that today. But there is an obligation to rent out their property. And that's essentially where you step in, isn't it? So if when the owners use their property, they then get the 5-star service from you, but they also can use your services to rent the property as well. So it's an all-encompassing package.
Yeah, exactly. So it's called Pari Hotelier. And because we provide a certain level of service and a certain number of particular services, then we qualify that for that. So which helps owners. They need that status. Either they operate it themselves, which is a lot of admin, where we provide value for owners is we are the ones that provide that service and high quality. So they know that as a trusted partner. And secondly, the owners then get to use it, which is super useful for them. They have a trusted partner that knows the property. So anytime they want to come to it, we were able to leave it in the right way, set it up in the right way, and provide whatever service that is for that customer, whether it's concierge, the housekeeping, linen, whether they would like chefs, hosts, drivers, etc., to make their stay and experience amazing. And then on the flip side, they know that yes, that they're ticking that box for that TVA reclaim.
And in terms, just to briefly touch on it, James, the rentals obviously that you provide. Currently, you're only in Verbier, or you've now branched out into France as well.
Yeah, so we're in Verbier and Meribel. So we've been in Verbier for 24 years. That's where we started, and we moved to Meribel just over 3.5 years ago now, and have grown massively. Actually, grew 40% year on year last year. So really value that market. The other strong resorts are definitely Val d'Isère and Courchevel for properties, for rental income, and good occupancy levels. So they're definitely key markets alongside Meribel and Verbier. Zermatt is the next one, I would say, in Switzerland, that are kind of the top 5 resorts.
Yeah. So I think it's important to know that obviously if you're renting out to the high net worth individuals for your rental chalets in Verbier, obviously then that transfers to the flagship places in France, such as Meribel, Courchevel, Val d'Isère, if those are the places that you're going for. It is worth pointing out that one of the reasons obviously we do this is if there are any owners that are listening and require this kind of service, this is essentially what James is here for, to be able to provide that. So it's easy to get in touch with James. You can get in touch via me, or you can get in touch via James, and then speak to him about what level of service you expect on your property, obviously when you go there, and then you can kind of talk through that service obviously that you provide. So the package is, and I assume you're not going to go too far out of those, let's say, top 5 resorts, James, are you? Or what's the thought process there?
We always kind of look, we always survey the market, and we work with our either booking partners and obviously survey our guests, and we're always looking at where they are going, and where's the value for them as the customer. We are seeing a rise in Italy, potentially because people find that there's good value there. There isn't a huge amount of good value of stock there at the moment, but I think there's some opportunities on properties over there. And I hear that, the experience is great. So we're always interested to hear from owners in different resorts. We also have an experience in apartment rentals, so not just chalets, but apartment residences and hotels, certainly boutique. So we help owners with kind of each different property like that, and are open to looking at other resorts. One service that we do provide with some of our partners is actually a free rental valuation. So if someone is considering buying a property, then we offer the service where we can then review it, consult with them on what sort of service would work, what rental income they may achieve, and what potential occupancy they could achieve that matches their expectation, to give them a good, holistic view before they make that purchase, for example.
And how many properties do you have in Verbier, James?
We have 11 properties in Verbier right now.
Okay, so you're not exclusive when we're talking about France, and obviously that's that side of thing. What are you kind of looking for? Can it be a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom? Are you typically looking for 3-bedroom plus? And then I guess sky is the limit after that.
So for our service, which is very high touch, so we offer self-catered, we call it independent, bed and breakfast, and then the fully catered service at the top end of the market. For us, we look for 4-star and 5-star properties. So we would consider 3-bedroom, up from 3-bedroom, but the 3 bedrooms would have to be very, as a chalet, have to be very high quality. And what do I mean by that is, very high quality interior and exterior, a freestanding property, and has to have spa amenities, spa facilities within that. So then 4-bedroom and above are fantastic properties to get. So 4-bedroom and 5-bedroom are the most popular. And then anything, so 12 and 14 beds are good, but I would then say anything that services, say 17 plus, even above 20, is really interesting for the market, because there aren't many of them. So we find multi-generational families will come and rent. They'll all travel over, and they find it hard to find a space in a chalet that they could all sleep and dine and eat and have that hotel level service in a private home together, rather than a shared in a hotel. So so I hope that gives a bit of clarity on the properties.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm quite interested. What typical price do you rent for in Verbier? Just to give someone that's listening kind of an overview of kind of like what service you provide to that type of client.
So for a catered stay, hosted, we call it, the average booking value is between 30 and 40,000 a week. So let's say you took a 10-person chalet, so 5-bedroom, and an average week across the season, if you blended it, would be around 30 to 40,000. Peak weeks, you typically would look, it would be 1.5 to 2 times the average for a rental, and potentially New Year is slightly more as a gross sale price.
Yeah. And what's in terms of the flexibility? So now my mind's going crazy. So what's the flexibility that you have in terms of obviously what the owner can or cannot rent it for? You don't. I remember when I used to do this kind of stuff about 20 years ago. Sadly, they used to pre-buy the weeks from, let's say, the 9th of December up until the 16th of April, and that was then taken over to you. You don't have to set into that contract. You have flexibility of when the owner uses it, and then you just dip in as you kind of see fit, as long as it works for that kind of VAT rebate regulations.
Exactly. So so the industry in itself has changed. That I think you're talking about sort of guaranteed rents, where you would buy in those weeks for the season and try and flog them as the operator. And there's still some properties and owners that look for that, but then it depends on the owner and the level of property. I think when it's a high quality property, not all owners want, 19 weeks old, 15 weeks old and a high footfall. They want care of the property and balance, the rental versus the occupancy of that property, as well as having the flexibility to, like you say, to come and experience it themselves. It's their home that they want to do that with. So our model is, yes, it's an exclusive rental agreement, and effectively would be a pay-as-you-go model. So we agree what the weekly rate would be, what the income would be for that owner, what the sale price would be for the customer, which for us, we would use our 24 years in the market, understanding what is that an achievable price for them. We agree that with the owner and work with them. We work with them. What is our target? What are you looking to achieve in number of weeks, for example, or income, which gives us a good indication of how we can achieve that. And then a go-to-market strategy for them. So yeah, that tends to be how it is. So there's great flexibility with them. Then there's huge transparency of when it's booked and when it's not booked, in case the owner wants to come last minute, if they want to experience it.
Yeah. So a couple of things. Where do you kind of like? I was thinking an ideal scenario for you if you're a high end owner and looking to do this service would be to go and stay in James's place in Verbier or Meribel for a week, see the level of service that he provides, and then if you want to take on that service, then you can put it in your own property. Essentially, that's where we're kind of going with it. There's obviously, as I said before, mentioning the likes of Aman and LVMH and Ritz-Carlton and all this kind of stuff. Obviously, having a name like Ski Armadillo rather than a synonymous name like Aman, where do you kind of pitch yourself, just to give some sort of expectation to the person? Because, as we kind of, I don't want to reiterate it, but there's a level of expectation of us, obviously, of these buyers from being on their boats or being on their beach property or staying in all those hotels. Can you kind of meet those service levels of the likes of Aman, of what they're kind of used to, just to give some sort of kind of barometer of where you're at?
Yeah. So the first easiest one is our chefs. They are all either Michelin starred or work on luxury yachts in the winter, in the summer, and then come and work with us in the winter. So the level of our chefs is very high quality, and then that filters down for the rest of our team. So our chalet managers are very experienced chalet managers. They've either worked in private homes or on yachts. And it is a career for them. Same for our hosts, and the same for our management team. We only look to take team members that have had experience within that luxury world. They have to have worked at either within a chalet world and at the luxury level, or a hotel level, yacht level, or private home. So we don't employ anyone that doesn't have that experience. I think that kind of sets the bar, really, or sets the floor of the quality of the team members that we hire. And beyond that, we then provide extended training. So our training is 2.5 weeks, always at the beginning of the season. It's quite intense. They have a period of time where we test them on real life guests. They're normally partners of ours. And before then having a kind of the rest of the 2 weeks intensive course on what our service level and expectations are across our properties and across our resorts, and how we approach hospitality. Okay.
Yeah. James, where is if someone wants to get in touch, what's the lead time for setups for this high season? I assume it doesn't really matter what time they kind of employ your services, because you do summer as well, I assume. But what's the lead kind of setup time to kind of start conversations to get people ready now for this high season winter? For the winter,
yeah. So it would be good to look at the sales cycle. So Q1 from January is a medium peak, for example. It's a good window. We're currently in kind of that Q2 stage, which is tends to be a little bit lower. July is okay because people tend to be on holiday looking at their next holiday, especially if they're looking at winter. But really, it's 1st of September is the key sales period. So for any owners that are thinking of renting, we recommend that having your property put on the market before the 1st of September to also have a little bit of lead time for marketing, engaging with the database, engaging with our booking partners around the world, ready for that kind of key period of sales, would be our recommendation. If we do take on properties later in that sales cycle, so September, October, November for sure, we would then recommend, we would definitely advise, potential for number of weeks. Obviously, occupancy would be lower, but that often works. We'd say peak weeks would be very easy to sell, or most likely to sell. That you would sell New Year's that late, but then the low season would be harder. So. Yeah, the longer the lead time a property owner gives it for sales and marketing and distribution, the better that their occupancy and chances of income would be.
Yeah, and do you have an agreement for a set time period? You have to have the chalet or apartment with us for 5 years minimum, or can you do it on a year-to-year basis? How does that work? So, and obviously, if you sell it, then obviously you can break the contract, I assume.
Yeah, exactly. So look, we look for a minimum of 3 years. We say a minimum of 3 years is, and the reason we say that is it's better for the owner, because the longer the property is in the market, as in the distribution market, the better. It's compounding interest in as soon as the agents know it, as soon as the customers know it, and as soon as people have stayed there, they'll want to return. So the longer you leave it in that rental market with the same person, the better the compounding interest you get on it.
Yeah. It's like that rule, isn't it? Everyone goes into if there's a queue outside of a restaurant, everyone goes into it regardless of whether they know the food. So
yeah, exactly.
You've got that constant stream of people obviously renting out. Then there's a lot of demand for it. A lot easier for you to rent because it's been on there than a long time. Couple of questions. Obviously, time always flies so quickly. First of all, let me ask you this one. What sets you? We've kind of gone through the quality of the chefs, but what's the thing that kind of sets you apart from from all the other that can provide this service? Obviously, there's a lot of other agents that can do it. I won't name any names, but there's a lot of agents that can do it, but it's to the standard that you are providing. What really kind of sets that apart? Obviously, we've gone through the Michelin star chef, but what kind of details do you kind of see in it?
So for us, it's really concierge for us, and that encompasses. I think our hospitality approach encompasses everything, but concierge is really the focus. That's what we lean into the most. It's understanding the owner. It's understanding the customer as much as possible. But both of them are guests to us. We want to know minute details. What is the preferred type of coffee? What's the brand of coffee that you drink? What's the particular wine that you drink? What side of the bed do you sleep on? What do you drink? Still water, sparkling water? Do you have a lemon in it? Do you not? What is your favorite cocktail? We want to understand you so that we can provide a really bespoke, tailored service. And the reason I keep saying but guest and owner is because it applies to both. How do you like how do you like to be communicated with as an owner? We have owners that communicate with us on WhatsApp, on email, on phone call, on all different mediums, on text message, if they don't have WhatsApp. And so we meet the owner where you are, just as we meet a guest where they are. And we provide the service that they want. So I think what sets us apart is our passion for the bespoke, tailored, personal side of hospitality, really kind of wowing a customer. So no week is ever the same. It's really an event, start to finish, and that's the same experience that we provide for our owners and guests.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's exactly what you should expect if you're going to buy a property for 10 million euros anyway, isn't it?
Yes, you should. Yeah.
There's always the conversation that we're having with people around this, and it's just like the elements that we kind of spoke about. this is how it should be, right? If you're going to spend that amount of money, this is the kind of service that you're looking after, and that's the kind of service that you expect. So, okay, look, I think we can kind of wrap it up there. But if there's anyone that's listening onto this webinar, let's call it, if you are interested in speaking to James and have a property that's correct me if I'm wrong here, James, around 3 or 4 bedrooms, super high-end spec, spa facilities in Verbier and Meribel, Courchevel, Verbier or Zermatt, then to get in touch with you, ideally before the 1st of September, to at least have the conversation about what you provide and whether you can tailor it to the demands of that particular owner. So just to point out here, obviously from SnowOnly, we sell a lot of properties, but obviously if there's any owners that are currently owning properties, they're the people that obviously you want to speak to James, rather than people that are going through the process. Obviously you can as well, but if it's an off-plan property, then it might take a little while. But it's a lot of owners that James is obviously willing to speak to that have the criteria that he's kind of discussing. One last point, James, before you go, which was always a question I'm sure everyone's going to ask. Why ski Armadillo?
Really to stand out from the crowd. And I think it does that.
That's fair enough, actually. To be fair, you're not going to forget it, are you? Once you've got a part of Ski Armadillo service, then that's the case. James, where can we find you? If people want to get in touch, where can they find you?
Yeah, so you can get me on james@skiarmadillo.com is my email address. You can also contact us directly via the website, so skiarmadillo.com, and our company phone number's on there. You'll get through to our sales team members, and they'll also pass you directly to me.
And if they want to book for this high season, same process?
Exactly. Yeah, either you can email me directly, or go through our website, and there's WhatsApp, there's email, and obviously our phone number, so you can get in contact however you like. They are going quickly. New Year's is booking quick, so I'd get in there.
I remember the days when we used to scale ski chalets, all the New Year, half term, Easter, and actually, as you said, the big chalets, they go quickly. So if you've got a big group, there's not many of them, is there?
Exactly.
So if you manage to get through to James, don't forget to give SnowOnly a little mention. But apart from that, James, thank you very much. Wish you all the success. If there is anyone that's kind of going through that path, have a wonderful time with James. But thank you very much for your time, James. And I think it's a necessary service for the high net worth individual that are buying these luxury chalets. So thank you for providing it.
No, thanks, Mark. I really appreciate it. And thank you for everyone listening.
Yeah, no worries. Take care. Cheers, buddy.